in my lag, when we swerving lanes. Baby girl, watching how we get the turning lane. Pass the blunt, we burn the flame. Light it up, rolling up a Mary Jane. So lit, and it's on. And you know that we the bomb. It's a ripple. That's cool. And no, we know. Cause girl, you know it. I'm that harder than Bruce Willis. I hope that you feel it.
Now we're gonna talk about this KEEFE case. You know, he's on trial for his life over Tupac Shakur. Overstepped his bounds a little bit, right? I mean, the story is most definitely confusing. On one end, 98 account, first time KEEFE was ever questioned, he said he wasn't even in Vegas. At least that's what the FBI director said when he took the stand. But then, dirty ass Greg Kading, his partner's name is Dupree. Dupree said on the stand that KEEFE told him that he handed the gat back to his nephew. Nephew started busting. The defense asked him while he was being hammered back and forth, do you believe that KEEFE was telling the truth? And Dupree said, and I quote, his nephew had good standing in the community, with his neighborhood, and with his people. He was very beloved by his family. And so, because of that, you know, he don't think that KEEFE would lie. But that's your only motive for believing he was telling the truth when you got several motives that said he was lying? Look, I always believed KEEFE was lying. I always believed it. He's a liar. But I'll explain how. First of all, Orlando had already passed away. Of course, you don't want to shame your beloved nephew and put a crime on his name that isn't true. Have all sorts of ill-gotten feelings about your nephew out there in the community. Shit, the world. Tupac is beloved around the world, point blank and simple. But peep this out. Greg Kading and his partner Dupree didn't even start working the Christopher Wallace case, which happened in Los Angeles, not Las Vegas, until 2008. Because Greg Kading's dirty ass wanted some sort of answer to bring back to his superiors after that debacle of a case that he fumbled, right? Which actually tied itself into death row. Look it up. Look up Greg Kading and look at the case that he fumbled. Instead of me bringing up all kinds of reference points and wasting time on that, you can go to my channel, Metro 360, and watch the complete timeline of suckers and dirty cops entitled The Right Deal. You know, this is about Reggie Wright and Gene Deal, who I believe is the worst to security, first of all, in the history of security. But second of all, It's an unfair playing field when you're going against the police. You can't win. And who knows that better than my wife and I? We know how dirty one time plays. And if they have any sort of leverage over your ass, they're gonna use it. KEEFE D had got jammed up for moving PCP and got caught with a couple of gallons of water, facing Star Trek years in prison. But it wasn't just him. They jammed up several people from his neighborhood and several people in his family. When the U.S. attorney called KEEFE D in to have a meeting, he showed up with his attorney. And Greg Kading secretly recorded KEEFE D in this meeting without his knowledge or permission. Right? Because it was a federal case, there was no jurisdiction over what Greg Kading could and couldn't do when recording KEEFE D due to gray area stipulations. Greg Kading, while asking a series of questions to KEEFE D, asking if they had any involvement in the death of Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., he said, nah, I ain't do that. But before he even gave any testimony on what he believed, in which he said and responded, nah, we did the other one. He said right before that, Reggie Wright Jr. and the crooked-ass Compton police had planted that information early on and stayed with it. Then he goes on to say, yeah, we didn't kill Christopher Wallace, but we hit Tupac in Vegas. Now, KEEFE D is pretty smart, right? Because he knew that telling the Los Angeles Police Department Greg Kading and Dupree had zero jurisdiction. But what I don't get is when he said that, the U.S. Attorney's Office had federal jurisdiction. Why didn't they book him in right there for admission of guilt? They were giving him the proffer deal, aka Queen for a day, but they hadn't given it to him yet when he made those statements. He was given a proffer agreement after making those statements, and because he made those statements, not before, which meant the U.S. Attorney had every opportunity in the world to arrest KEEFE D. It also comes out in court that not only did the U.S. Attorney, the LAPD, and several other corny motherfuckers didn't corroborate the story. Now, why wouldn't they corroborate the story? What was the purpose of that? That tells me there's only one purpose. And the purpose of that was, why? Because they knew the cops was guilty. They knew they was guilty. And if KEEFE D was willing to scream out Reggie Wright's name so easily, he was definitely going to put the entire Compton PD on notice. Right? Wasn't afraid to tell. Now, that doesn't mean that they were going to act on it, because, as you can see, law enforcement at several levels did all they could for 30 years. Cover this story up. Baby Lane was killed. Little Al was sent to prison for life. Orlando was brought into court by Suge personally. He testified that Suge protected him for an amount of $60,000, I think.
Gang activity and things of that nature. And he mentioned there was an individual by the name of Harry O that provided money to start the Death Row Records. Also, what's his name? I believe Patrick Johnson provided approximately $80,000. Actually told Davis to give $80,000 that money that Davis owed to Johnson from previous gang transactions to Johnson's girlfriend, so that money could be used to start Death Row Records.
And he also explains Marion Suge Knight's role and his connection to the Blood gang members.
Yes, he did. He said that Marion Knight had gained control of the North Compton drug trade, and that he was associated with a bunch of the Blood Street gang members, like the Mob Pyrus and such. And they were, the Knight was getting them in and out of, getting them out of jail, bailing them out, and they would cooperate with Knight.
And basically, when Knight goes to prison, he tells you Reggie Wright kind of takes over.
Yeah, Reggie Wright Jr. took over the organization after Suge Knight was arrested.
And then he talks a little bit of the gang war that occurs shortly after the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Yes. Basically, he said that there was a conflict between Davis and Mr. Marion Knight that resulted, as a result of the shootings, that the conflict, there was basically a war going on between Southside Compton Crips and Compton Blood Pirate gang members, stemming from the mall altercation with Marcus Nunn and Orlando Anderson and other members of Southside Compton Crips, along with the Compton Blood gang members.
And he claims the reason that people believe that Orlando Anderson is the killer is that he asserts the Compton police is telling people that.
That's correct. He made comments that he believed that Compton PD members were putting out rumors that Orlando Anderson and them were involved.
Do you confront him about Mr. Anderson, the attack, and him being upset about that particular attack?
Well, I mean, we asked him about that, about the whole escalation of incidents because of the gang activity. They had the incident at the mall, then at the MGM Grand, then obviously the shooting of Tupac and things of that nature. Mr. Davis said that Davis and Anderson were upset after the casino's attack on Anderson, but they weren't going to strike back with so many police officers around that they would have struck back once they returned to Compton.
So he indicates to you that he's angry enough to do it. It's just he planned on doing it back in Compton, which instead of in Las Vegas.
Yeah, if they were, apparently it was because of police presence in the area, something of that nature.
Did you ever verify the information in here specifically about allegations of Tupac Shakur's murder?
Verify in terms of what?
Well, for instance, in the document that would have been the year 302 that's dated as of July 14, 1998, there's an indication here, for instance, that at the Las Vegas casino, Davis, Anderson, Davis's girlfriend, and Anderson's girlfriend walked or went up to their hotel room at the Excalibur Casino. Now, once again, this is 1998. The death of Tupac Shakur was in September of 1996.
Right.
Did you ever verify that information with Las Vegas to see if either, and in this case, what the 302 indicates is that the room was in Anderson's name. Did you verify that to be true?
I did not specifically know.
Okay. And then with regards to the way in which he describes, meaning Mr. Davis, how they got to Las Vegas, he says in here that they drove to Las Vegas in a Land Cruiser. Any particular reason
the beach. In the Land Cruiser Jeep with the Mac 10 by the seats.
I mean, did he have a Land Cruiser? Was there any verification of that information?
I did not verify that.
Now, in addition to that, he had indicated that Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, and Big Dre, or AKA Big Dre, Big Dre and Wynn had also traveled to Las Vegas. Did you ever verify if any of those individuals went to Las Vegas?
No, I did not.
Now, in addition to that, he had made mention, at least with that first interview, that he believed that Compton police officers had been the ones to have committed that particular act, the crime in Las Vegas, in terms of the shooting of Tupac Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And with regards to that, though, sir, did you ever look into the possibility that Compton police officers may have been involved in the shooting of Tupac Shakur?
I did not specifically know.
During the course of that, do you ask Mr. Davis about his involvement in the Biggie Smalls murder?
Yes.
And what is his response?
At that time, he said, no, we didn't have anything to do with that one.
When he said we didn't have anything to do with that one, did that trigger anything in your mind as to what he was saying?
When I recall, yes, we were like, that one, what do you mean? And then he
What was
said,
it?
we did the other one.
He said we did the other one. And so at that point, what did you think he was talking about?
Me personally, the only other one was Tupac. But we had nothing, we didn't think he was, we were talking about Christopher Wallace. We didn't ask him any questions about Tupac. He offered that on his own.
And so when he does that, is there some discussion then of maybe having a conversation about Tupac?
It was a surprise to us. Number one, we were shook. We were surprised. Yes, Mr. Davis stated that his nephew, Mr. Orlando Anderson, was jumped and beat up in a club or in a hotel in Las Vegas after the Tyson fight. He came and told Mr. Davis what happened. They went looking for Tupac, Suge, anybody who was involved, basically, in the beatdown of Mr. Anderson. And they couldn't find him at first, and then they saw him, and basically, Mr. Davis had the gun at first, but they came up on the passenger side of Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur's vehicle, so he couldn't shoot across the driver. So he handed the gun to Dre in the back seat, Andre Smith. He was afraid to shoot. Mr. Anderson grabbed the gun and shot across Mr. Smith into Mr. Knight's car that Mr. Tupac Shakur was in with Mr. Knight.
And did he tell you what kind of vehicle he was in?
He was in a white Cadillac,
Did he tell you what kind of gun was used?
a 40 cal Glock. Mr. Davis had a narcotics friend in New York by the name of Equan Williams, Zip. He said he could, this is a lot deeper than that. Sean Puffy Combs was supposed to have given money to Zip Martin to give to Mr. Davis for payment of the Tupac murder. Fast forward, we go to Mr. Davis. He says he can rekindle that relationship with Mr. Zip Martin and get him to talk about the money that was given from Sean Puffy Combs to Mr. Martin that never got to Mr. Davis.
And did you guys, or Mr. Davis, come up with a plan to get leverage on Mr. Williams, Zip? And what was the idea?
Me, Detective Kading, ATF Jim Black, and KEEFE D, Mr. Davis, flew to New York so Mr. Davis can work undercover to try to rekindle that friendship and business relationship with Zip.
Did you verify any of the information?
That Mr. Davis told us?
Yeah.
We were trying to verify as much as we could.
Okay.
That's
Well,
why we
tell us
put it
the
in there.
efforts. No, I'm sorry. Can you tell this jury the efforts that you made to verify the information that he gave you in 2008?
Flying to New York to try to get the relationship with Zip, Mr. Martin, because he was involved here in Vegas with the murder and the large sum of money that was supposed to be given to Mr. Martin to give to Mr. Davis. So that's why we flew to New York, to try to get that whole thing going.
Right. And based upon your efforts in New York, were you able to verify that any of that information to be true?
No.
Now, in addition to that, there was other information that Mr. Davis gave up in 2008 in December. Did you verify any of that other information to be true?
I don't think any other information that he gave us was anything except the murder of Tupac.
Sure. Did you at any point verify, for instance, the people that he identified in the vehicle?
No.
You are aware, of course, that some of the people that he had identified in the vehicle were still alive in 2008, right?
One was.
Who was that?
That was Terrence Brown.
Okay. Did you ever verify that Terrence Brown was in Las Vegas at the time of the murder?
We never got a chance to.
Why not?
As I said, our first course of action was to tie in Mr. Combs, the money, and work back from there.
When you were talking to Mr. Davis and he's telling you what he's telling you, did you have reason to doubt his version of events as it relates to the homicide itself?
I didn't think Mr. Davis was lying because he put the gun in his nephew's hand. And if anybody knows anything, from what I hear, Mr. Orlando Anderson was the man besides KEEFE D in that neighborhood. He was the prince, and his family loved him. I didn't think that Mr. Davis would put the gun in his own nephew's hand, dead or alive, and put that smut on him unless it was true. The person that killed Tupac, well, in the neighborhood, he's a hero. In the world, he's a villain. So I didn't think Mr. Davis, me personally, would do that unless it was true with his own nephew, because I know he loved his nephew.
You had also targeted the idea, though, that it wasn't just him moving some large amount. It was people coming into his house, potentially his family. People could be arrested, his friends, for instance, that was part of that, and they all could go to prison, right?
I will say this. Mr. Davis took the hit for a lot of people in his family and his kids, his wife, but that's why he did a lot of the stuff he did. I will say that.
And I appreciate you saying that.
So that's where the defense may have been going with that, right? That Davis had reasons to say what he needed to say in order to protect the people around him.